Hey PokeMoshPitBeta, it's TheOseros here with a narrated Wi-Fi battle against Derek420Phareal. We've got a U match for you today where he leads off with his Donphan and I lead off with my Azelf instead of my Scarf Jolteon because I realised since our teams were somewhat similar he'd go for a weird lead. So yeah, I just go for the Ice Punch that's banded to do some damage and break sturdy, and I didn't feel like U-turning because I didn't know what he'd do. So yeah, now I'm predicting him to go for the Stealth Rocks on my U-turn, so I'd go straight into my Jolteon to scare him off with my HP Ice, and then decide to go for it just to be safe in case he wants to stay in, predicting my Thunderbolt and go for an Earthquake. But instead he just goes straight to my Lodic. My Lodic takes it like a champ, unfortunately. And nothing much has really happened so far in the battle, so I swap out knowing I'm locked into Hidden Power Ice, and I go back into my lead, because I've got nothing really that wants to take this. I don't really know why I did it, but it works for me because I go for the U-turn on the switch because he was predicting the Thunder Punch, and Thunder Punch would have hurt without a choice band, and as does U-turn on the Sceptile, which is really good because I can go straight into my Flygon, and I'm scarfed on my Flygon as well. On my Flygon scarfed, I don't have a scarf on it if you're wondering. And that takes down the Sceptile. So I go into my Jolteon because it's my fastest poke, and whatever he sends in, I can either just swap. The switch advantage wasn't that important at this stage. But he makes a mistake on the switch, so he has to swap out. I go straight for the Shadow Ball in case his Jolteon was Volt Absorb. And, he can't really have anything else take a Shadow Ball from a Jolteon, especially risking the special defense drop. So I just go for double Shadow Ball, take out the Donphan, that's great. His spinner is gone for when I set up my Stealth Rocks later. So now my Lodic comes in to block the Shadow Ball, so I go straight out into my Registeel to block the Toxic, which is great for me. So now, expecting him to just go for the Skull to try and get the burn, I just go for my Stealth Rocks because I know he has an Arcanine, and that's going to be a real problem later in the game if I don't get these rocks up, especially if it wants to switch in and out. So that's done. He swaps out expecting my Thunder Wave, and I Thunder Waved expecting him to swap out, so we both made a good prediction, except he's got the Quick Feet Jolteon. So I was just wondering also, does the Quick Feet stop you from getting Parahaxed? Or is it just a speed increase and you can still get Parahaxed? Just wanted to know. Anyway, I went for the Iron Head because I'm retarded, not very effective burn, and Registeel doesn't have that much attack unless it's full 252 and Adamant. But anyway, so now I'm just going to go for the Seismic Toss to break the sub as he goes for the Hidden Power, probably fighting on ground. And yeah, I get my lefties, I get burnt, after turn effects always take an hour. So he goes for the Discharge, expecting it to do more than his Hidden Power, but it does about the same. And I just go for another Seismic Toss, wanting to get some damage on the Jolteon. Now I swap out here, expecting him to go for the Electric move again, or the Hidden Power, because I know Hidden Power fighting wouldn't do much to me, but it's Hidden Power ground, which is great, so I resist it, free swap in. I get Shadow Balled, it does a little bit of damage, but whatever. I can just go for a U-turn and go back into my Registeel to sacrifice it to get a double blind switch. And at this stage he thought I was going to go into my Jolteon, which I guess would have been smart since I can still Shadow Ball his Azelf, but I instead went for this to go for the switch advantage because a U-turn on this would actually probably kill it as opposed to a Shadow Ball on, he could swap out on that. But anyway, here we go for the U-turn, and it does a respectable amount of damage to the Milotic. So here I'm going into my Jolteon, so I can either go for the Volt Switch or scare him out with a Thunderbolt. I just go straight for the Volt Switch, and he was expecting that, as I was expecting him to expect that, because I wanted to go into my Hitmontop to get rid of these rocks, because they're really starting to annoy me, and I've still got my Togekiss in the wings. Haha, pun. But anyway, so he goes straight for the Toxic, and now we're going to have a miniature stall wall. It's not too stally, we're just, he's recovering and I'm going for the close combat. So my plan here was, I know I'm not going to kill it and I don't really want to swap into a Scald on anything, or an Ice Beam for that matter. But anyway, I'm going for the close combats to get my defenses lower because, Hitmontop is pretty specially defensive. So I'm going for these to make him want, at one stage, to think he can live a close combat fairly well, and then go for an Ice Beam or a Scald on me, so I can then go for the Sucker Punch and leave it, almost dead for when I bring in Jolteon or Flygon. But instead, as you're about to see, I get a close combat crit, which didn't really matter in the long run since I was trying to sacrifice Hitmontop anyway, but, a free extra turn on Hitmontop is always great, especially because it does carry the Sucker Punch, and as you see here, he wasn't expecting it on his Azelf, and I go for it, and I wish it had killed. Maybe if I'd put like an extra 10 into my attack stat, but you know, whatever. It was gonna get sacrificed at one point or another. And here I go into Flygon, just to U-turn to go into my Jolteon, because, you know, I could have killed it with either of them. So I just do that so I don't get the Intimidate drop from the incoming Arcanine if I went for the Outrage, because I couldn't go for Earthquake, obviously. So yeah, I take the Intimidate drop. He goes for the Extreme Speed. No way I'm leaving that, even if he was jolly, but he told me, in fact, he was adamant. So I'm going into my You Mad Bro, the Togekiss, and it's a good game from here, especially since that Thunderfang missed. I go for an Air Slash, and we see it's a clear 2-hit KO, especially with the Life Orb damage. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment, rate, subscribe, and peace.